This is our presentation on turning movement counts. We're group 5, and I'm Nyla Omer.
I'm Kayla Doshi-Batla.
I'm Eduardo Rodriguez.
I'm Pedro Nunes.
Turning movement counts serve as the foundation of a capacity analysis to determine if traffic operations are occurring at an acceptable level of service. The objective of this lab was to collect and count turning movement counts per movement, approach, and intersection to determine the intersection peak hour factor. Here we have our lab group's effort statements per person. We collected data for the eastbound approach of South Marietta Parkway and KSU West Main entrance. The date and day of collection was Tuesday, February 6, 2024. The time of collection was 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. and weather conditions were great and no significant weather situations that would impact traffic patterns were present that day.
Here we have the graphic summary of the vehicle movement. As you can see, there were 2,293 vehicles going east and west, 125 going south, and a total of 2,418 vehicles entering the intersection.
For the peak hour calculations, we had actually counted our data in 5-minute intervals. Therefore, the formula was modified. So first we determined the peak hour volume and then divided that number by 12 times the maximum 5-minute interval that was counted within the hour. And we did this by movement, approach, and intersection to find PHFs for each one of those items. The tables on screen show the peak hour volumes by approach and the overall peak hour volume for the intersection. The westbound approach had the highest number of vehicles in the peak hour volume and also had the highest peak hour factor by approach, that being 0.75. And the overall intersection had a PHF of 0.81.
From all the data, we found in our discussion that the traffic was distributed evenly between the westbound and eastbound approaches only. The northbound approach had its own traffic distribution in PH factor. The northbound approach peak hour varied from other approaches. KSU traffic peaked at a different hour compared to the traffic on South Marietta Parkway. The northbound approach had the higher approach traffic volumes too, and the through moments had the highest volumes in general. Northbound approach had the highest PHF of 0.75. The peak hour factor indicates that the hourly volume for each movement, approach, and intersection has not reached the maximum rate of flow, PHF equaling 1.
As we conclude in general, the westbound and the eastbound had the most movement through the movement of the time that we collected data. The collected data was between 4:30 to 6 o'clock, but we had more movement between 4:30 to 5:30, while the peak hour on the KSU main entrance was 5 o'clock. But the movement on that time of the KSU, it didn't increase any kind of movement between the northbound Marietta. As you guys can see, as a reference, we use the professor notes and examples that he provided us in class for the lab, and we use our YouTube video to collect the data. And we have our raw data right here that we use to collect how many cars we have between the times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.